Everyone's freaking out about Gibson, and everybody on YouTube is making a video along the lines of, what's the deal with Gibson? Are Gibson going bankrupt? Well, I was reading the Billboard article with their CEO and noticed a few little points. So rather than make this a detailed analysis of everything that's wrong with Gibson, I wanted to just read a few comments by their CEO and, you know, maybe generate some discussion about it because I think they're interesting. Let's have a look on the screen. You can see Henry's wearing one of these Gibson jackets. I've got one of those too, so I figured I would do that. He's obviously trying to do his best Steve Jobs impersonation there with, you know, the denim jacket and things like that. But anyway, if we scroll down, we see, what question was it? So they're basically talking about how the guitar retail industry is struggling and a bunch of other things like that. And I found some interesting stuff here, this question. What do you feel that retail has failed the guitar buyer? This is the stuff I was reading and just going, alright, so you're the CEO of this massive company and this is what you think is wrong with everything. Let's have a look. Basically around here you see he starts ranting on about, you know, mum and pop brick and mortar store. So the issue for Gibson in retail is that the industry has gone to a really narrow customer focus. That's really interesting because, you know, Gibson primarily make musical instruments, mainly guitars, so you'd think that they'd be catering to musicians, primarily guitar players. Point number one. If Johnny wanted to play an accordion and Susie wanted to play a saxophone, there were full-line stores. They weren't big, but they carried most instruments, sheet music even. It was a neighborhood staple. Obviously, a lot of other things have changed in America and around the world since the 50s, some of them good, some of them bad, but kind of berating guitar sales because of the lack of these like brick and mortar corner stores is interesting. Let's move on. They also became more rock shops and the businesses became much younger. Maybe that's because, you know, rock music was popular in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and it's still relatively popular now. It also became quite unprofitable. So I don't know what he's quoting there when they're talking about unprofitable. Is unprofitable, unprofitable? Only people who already played were starting to be the only people actually buying guitars. Stores lost their family roots and started concentrating on real players. That's kind of like saying that the stores went from selling cheap crap to the average Joe, or Susie or Johnny as he would put it, and they actually started to develop a specialized market. Now this isn't very surprising at all. Guitar players, out of just about every other sort of musician, are very, very particular and picky about their tone. That's something guitar players have been doing for a very, very long time, so you'd think that guitar stores would sort of mirror that mentality. That makes sense, right? Basically then he goes on and says they had to, but they hyper-focused on those buyers and started losing money. They couldn't pay their rent anymore. I like to say, you know where the good music stores are? Look in a city's pornography district. Well, the pornography district, of course. I go there every day of the week. I just pop on down, I get a Big Mac from McDonald's and I go to the pornography district. Gee, Henry, you do not sound out of touch at all. Anyway, let's see what else he has to say. Sure enough, that's where they are. Where's the pornography district where I live in Perth? I would love to know. I think most people watch porn online nowadays anyway, so yeah, you're probably thinking right now, why am I watching this guy when I could be watching that? Hey. Anyway, sure enough, that's where they are. Well, parents with kids don't like to go into these areas to shop. Musicians don't have a problem going to these areas, obviously because we're all complete deviants. And so basically he's doing this. Yeah, in the 50s it was good because music stores sold everything and they sold it to families. They lost their focus and they started to focus on these rock musicians. Rock musicians are deviants and only like to hang out in like the filth districts, should I say the pornography districts. That's where all the music stores moved to. And because of these so-called pornography districts, families didn't want to go there and that's how the consumer base got screwed over. So basically, this guy is blaming music stores and blaming that changing demographic for the fact that his corporation is in millions of dollars of debt. You wouldn't think that it's because of guitars like this. No, it's because mum and dad don't want to go to the pornography district to go to a bloody music store to have to hang around with these degenerate rock musicians who are all probably drug addicts anyway with their long hair and their endorsement of livid lifestyles.
Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong.
Get a grip, man. The reason that your company is going under is because of very, very bad business decisions. Don't blame the market, for your terrible business decisions. So I think this is symptomatic of the music industry in general. The big problem is that the music industry itself and musical instrument companies have failed to innovate. All the big innovations in the way we listen to music, all the big innovations in music technology have come from the tech sector. Namely, look at something like streaming. A company like Spotify completely destroys physical sales by offering a more convenient and more accessible product at a better price point. Now, you can argue till you're blue in the face about whether this is good or bad for musicians, but the fact is, it's not the music companies themselves who have come up with this, it's a tech company. However, that's constantly evolving technology and software, right? A Gibson Les Paul is still going to be a Gibson Les Paul. Guitar players just want a good Les Paul or a good SG or a good Flying V. Focus on getting those basics right and keeping your core bass happy. And you can harp on about innovation all you like, but the reality is people don't buy a Gibson guitar because they want something innovative. They want something classic and they want something good, and they will always want that. I think Gibson would be good to look at the example of a company like Fractal Audio who make the Axe effects. They make an amazing product, they've got great customer service, and they sell direct. And furthermore, their product is actually changing the way people perform music. I was able to replace my massive tube guitar rig with something about this big. That's phenomenal, and I'm a big fan of anything that's going to do that. Anyway, what do you guys think about all of this? Let me know. If you like to go to the pornography district and go to your local music store, let me know what you think of the article, which I have linked in the comments below. And yeah, if you've got any general thoughts about the whole Gibson scenario, whether you're particularly concerned with it. Personally, I'm not particularly concerned with it. While I understand that there would be a huge flow-on effect of a company like that going down, I have never bought a new Gibson guitar anyway. I do have this really nice jacket that I got, but I've never bought a brand new Gibson guitar anyway. Their quality control, and you know, there's a lot of other issues around stuff like that. Their quality control has been discussed at length and things like that. There are better guitar manufacturers out there, but I guess the bigger issue is if a company like that goes down and all the retail stores go down, who's going to be next, and what does that mean for getting quality instruments? Personally, I'm not super worried because, you know, the internet exists and people understand how to buy things online, and there are lots of companies doing great stuff. Off the top of my head, obviously Paul Reed Smith make amazing instruments. That's what Gibson should be doing. They should be making their instruments to that level. And then there's smaller shops. You've got guys like Uber, you've got Australian guys like Ormsby and Cilia and Crossley, which are all worth checking out, and they make great stuff, and you know, they understand their market. And you've got companies like Kiesel as well, who are, you know, an offshoot of Carbon. What they've done is very, very clever. They understand that the particular market they're going for wants a certain type of instrument and wants certain performance and a certain price point, and they deliver it. So again, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please, let's have a very civil discussion about this whole Gibson thing, and you know, if you think that Henry's a twit, which I'm sure most of you probably do, please don't hold back, let me know.